In mediation, there is a mediation caucus, also referred as a private session in the mediation process. In mediation, a caucus is a private or confidential meeting between the mediator and one of the parties involved in dispute without the other party present. For example, in the mediation opening speech, when the mediation starts, one of the role of the mediator is also to explain the aspect of the private session in the mediation process and what is the purpose of this caucus or mediation private sessions is to allow parties to speak freely and honestly without the fear of judgment or reaction from the other side. An important purpose of this private sessions in mediation is to explore underlying interest, concerns and emotions that might not come out of the joint sessions. Remember I said earlier, before the mediation starts in the mediation opening speech, the mediator must have explained that there is a private session occurs, so that when the mediator feels that this process is getting too heated, they can take a break and call the other party in the private session or the caucus. So that, and remember, calling a private session during the mediation process is not taking side, because whatever you and both parties have discussed, the party A have discussed, if the party A never authorized the mediator to tell the party B, the mediator cannot do that. If the party A authorizes the mediator to relate what he or she has said in the private session, the mediator does that. So the importance of the private session is to explore interest individually, to discuss compromises the other party is not willing to say in the presence of party B. Another important thing for private sessions is to de-escalate tension when emotions are running high. So it's also very important at that moment for the mediator to end the joint session and call a break and call the other party to speak with the party with high emotions in the private session. So when is private session or the caucus used? It's used during emotionally charged dispute, because you're resolving a dispute and parties are heated up already. There can even be a fight. So at that moment you take a break and separate these both parties. And use a private session for them at that moment. Let the other party wait while you're discussing with party A in the private session. The other one will be cooling off and try to calm down. So when is private session of the caucus used? When direct communications between parties is not productive, and there could be a stalemate when you continue. There could be an impasse. So at that moment you take a break. And also you can use private sessions when party needs clarification without the other party being present. Also, private sessions are used to break impasse. Remember, in private session, the most important point to note is confidentiality. Whatever that has been said in the caucus still remain confidential unless the other party gives permission to share it. If the party doesn't give the mediator the permission to share what has been discussed in the private session, the mediator is not authorized to do that. That's why in the mediation, the parties are in charge. They determine whatever outcome in the mediation. If I don't tell the mediator to relate what I told what I told him or her, the mediator is not authorized to do that. Important thing to note when using a private session in the mediation will still remain voluntary. Parties can request a caucus or agree. The party can request also that, please, I want to discuss this with you in the private session. And you politely tell party A or party B why you want to use this private session, because you must remain confidential. You must also build trust between the parties. Remember, the caucus or the private session is a strategic tool in mediation. It's used to support effective communication. It is used to build trust and move parties to think forward in the mediation process. So it's the right tool to use when tensions are high in mediation. And remember, whatever has been discussed in the private sessions still remain confidential. So mediators should learn when to call for private sessions when emotions are high in the mediation process. It can also help the parties to calm down and have effective communication.